Operating out of their impressive premises in Johannesburg, cargo carriers haul loads throughout southern and central Africa. And of the 400 heavy vehicles in the fleet, no less than 120 are fuel tankers. But this is no ordinary company, and some of the tanker combinations in use are no ordinary tankers. The brainchild of director Peter Bonetto, a large number of the twin-trailer interlink tankers are in fact lightweight, dual-purpose outfits built of aluminium. Pulled behind 6x4 ERF and Peterbilt tractor units, the General Freight Liquid Tankers, or GFLTS, provide cargo carriers with significant operational advantages. For starters, the trailer set itself is about 3 tons lighter than a comparable dual-purpose interlink made of steel, so a lot more product is hauled anyway. The real bonus comes in once the load is delivered, at which point conventional tankers are forced to return to base empty, even if the journey is 1,000 miles or more. And while the Republic of South Africa is well served by a number of coastal ports through which supplies of crude oil can be imported and refined, landlocked countries farther inland such as Namibia, Botswana, Zambia and Zimbabwe clearly have no such facilities. Consequently, nearly all of the fuel used in these countries is hauled northward by truck from the busy South African ports of Durban and Cape Town, as well as from the 2 inland refineries of Secunda and Sasolburg. The need to improve the productivity of his vehicles has been a personal crusade for Bonetto for several years, and he admits to an obsession to get two-way hauling to work efficiently. He resents the unbelievable waste in heavy tanker transport systems and is a tireless campaigner in favour of improved tanker safety wherever these may be operated. Prior to joining forces with cargo carriers, Bonetto cut his teeth in his own fleet on what was for him an interim dual-purpose development. Platform trailers were used to haul rubber bags, not unlike giant hot water bottles. The bags would be filled at the loading area, hauled to their destination, emptied and finally rolled up and stored on the trailer deck. These could then be used for a return load. But the system was labour-intensive, the bags sometimes leaked, and unhappy with the compromise in efficiency, Bonetto went on to develop his GFLTs. On arrival at one of Johannesburg's busiest regional airports, on an unseasonably wet day, the combination is eventually manoeuvred into position alongside the storage tanks. Unloading high-octane aviation fuel in the rain is forbidden in the interest of safety, so on this occasion the driver was obliged to wait for a break in the weather. He was blissfully unaware at the time that although it was the height of summer, South Africa was to experience some of the most devastating floods for decades. Indeed, several roads used regularly by cargo carriers were completely washed out only a few days after this unit was filmed. Once the trailers are completely empty, everything is double-checked as demanded by the safety systems. Hauling high-octane fuel is a hugely responsible job, and drivers employed by cargo carriers are naturally keen to hang on to the prestige position. So prior to moving off to get the documentation signed, each driver carries out a complete circle check of his vehicle. Next stop, a steelworks not far from the airfield, where a suitable deck cargo is waiting. ERF tractor unit, powered by a 410 Cummins, driven through a twin splitter and featuring a specially ordered short wheelbase, is considered the ideal unit for this type of work, being lightweight yet sufficiently powerful. American tractors such as Kenworth and Peterbilt are viewed as having more street cred by drivers, but from Cargo Carrier's point of view, the ERF does the job just fine. The differences between the new GFLTs and the more traditional semi-plus pup tankers used extensively in South Africa are highlighted when the two vehicles are seen unloading in the same location. The GFLTs are capable of carrying the same amount of fuel, yet sit very much lower, thereby improving both stability and aerodynamics. The way the interlink handles is also a big plus for the driver. And there are additional safety items, such as the reinforced rear compartment, side impact protection bars, and high visibility lighting. All things considered, the GFLTs represent a major advancement in fuel-hauling vehicles. And by way of contrast, the most striking thing about the conventional tankers is their height in relation to their capacity. The general finish and overall appearance of the older combinations are also reminders that their era is coming to an end, and that new technology is already in place. Benetto admits that his vision of a lightweight trailer or interlink was ambitious, and acknowledges that other countries around the world were already using steel trailers and B-trains in dual-purpose applications. These were confined mainly to Finland, Canada and Australia, countries having vast open spaces and lots of raw materials such as timber, which is a convenient deck load. The requirements in South Africa were slightly different, since backloads were likely to comprise commodities such as steel plate, cartons of citrus, bagged coffee and sugar, or even copper bar. But the concept is identical. For the driver of this ERF GFLT combination, it was time to head off again for a backload of steel plate, awaiting collection at a mill. Loaded by overhead crane and sitting low on the trailers once aboard, such cargo is greatly appreciated by the drivers. And in most cases, it's not necessary to sheet it down either. But it looks like this driver could well be out of luck today. Having delivered his load of fuel to a nearby airfield, the driver of this Peterbilt 362 GFLT was directed to the Melanani sugar mill just north of Swaziland for a return load. Like the ERF tractors, Peterbilts are favoured by cargo carriers for their low tear weight. Powered by a Cummins 410 and built to order on a short wheelbase, the units couple perfectly to the GFLT interlinks within the permitted maximum overall length of 22 metres. The outfits are a pleasure to handle, and manoeuvrability of the combinations is excellent. As much as 37 tons of deck cargo can be carried on a Cargo Carrier's GFLT interlink, and in order to get it all aboard, the bags need to be loaded high on the deck. During the early stages of development, the GFLTs were loaded to capacity with a tall deck cargo prior to being driven through chicanes designed specifically to assess the stability of the top-heavy combination. But thanks to a first-class design, the tests proved beyond doubt that in every case the GFLTs were more stable than conventional tankers. So not only were the trailer sets more efficient, they were safer too. In terms of historical development, examples of dual-purpose trailers were in service in limited numbers back in the late 1940s, primarily in North America. And dual-purpose B trains grossing in the region of 60 tons found favour with increasing numbers of operators during the 1970s. These were all built of steel, however, and consequently the tear weight of the combinations meant that their overall efficiency was always compromised. It was doubtless for these reasons that the outfits were nicknamed platypus tankers by Canadian truckers who acknowledged that the combinations were neither one thing nor the other, an unsatisfactory compromise just like the famous Australian animal itself. Trailers eventually conceived and developed by Bonetto and his partners were first introduced in 1995 following a period of exhaustive testing and have been in series production since 1996. It comes as no surprise to learn that all expectations in the critical areas of capacity, tear weight and on-road stability are comfortably exceeded. The difference in deck heights between the GFLTs and a regular interlink, as coupled to this Kenworth K100 Aerodyne, is clearly visible. Some loads are still handballed into place, but others are palletized. The crew of this ERF Interlink, equipped with a curtain cider body, a nice blend of European and South African ideas, were loaded and turned around in less than half the time it took to load the GFLT. The good news is that there is generally plenty of labour available, and many hands make light work. And of course, there's always an expert in residence.
Okay.
As well as greatly improved productivity, the GFLTs incorporate all the latest safety features and have a spare wheel and tyre housing built into the extreme rear. The lighting on the trailers is outstanding, especially in South Africa, where despite poor roads and a total absence of street lighting outside of the cities, trucks are generally poorly lit. A service life of 5 million miles is claimed for the aluminium trailers, and it seems unlikely that even the heavy-duty curtain siders with their generously dimensioned steel chassis would exceed this. Built by South African manufacturer Wellfit Engineering of Port Elizabeth, the GFLTs are available as both single trailers and interlinks. All 28 of the units produced to date are operated by cargo carriers themselves, since the company obviously wishes to take full advantage of the benefits on offer. Operating within South African road transport law, which allows a maximum gross weight for interlink combinations of 58 tonnes, including a percentage concession, the GFLTs currently operated by cargo carriers are able to carry in excess of 37.5 tonnes as a deck load, or around 52,000 litres of fuel in the tanks. These weights are based upon a tear of 11,500 kilos for the empty interlink and around 9,000 kilos for a 6x4 tractor unit fully fuelled. It is late in the afternoon before the GFLT is finally loaded and sheeted down, and the sun is already dropping quickly towards the western horizon. Having cleared his paperwork, the driver heads out of the busy mill to begin his run southwards towards the port of Durban. He will have to travel through the night in order to make his destination by the following morning. But the road network is efficient and carries only a minimum of traffic. The Peterbilt is powerful and comfortable, and behind him the GFLT Interlink embodies all that is best in terms of safety and quality engineering. So perhaps in this instance, wishing the driver a safe journey would seem almost superfluous. Almost, but not quite. Safe journey, mate. Trucking in some southern African countries is not always a risk-free business, especially where high-value loads are involved. Indeed, hijacking is a regular occurrence, so in the interest of security, it is sometimes necessary to run several trucks together in convoy. Big trucks running in convoy always make an impressive sight, and the unusual spectacle of half a dozen interlinks heading back into Johannesburg is indeed a memorable one. The fact that these general freight liquid tankers account for almost 1/4 of the total cargo carriers GFLT fleet adds yet further significance to an already special occasion. Nice one, Peter.